Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexander Bove, aka Armored Otter, and welcome back to episode 5 of Grim Dawn. Is that right? Episode 5 of Grim Dawn Dungeons and Dragons? Yeehaw! Episode 5, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get right into the introductions, actually, let's do the introductions first. What I want to ask you guys today is, do your characters have any irrational or unconditional fears? We learned last episode that Desdemona has this unconditional fear of cryophobia, stemming from when she held her dying daughter close and tight as she was getting colder and icier. Does anybody else have fears like that? Starting with Mr. Avery Locke.
Hey, I was going to talk anyway. Avery has a I don't know if quite a fear, but a pretty deep discomfort with hospitals and sick wards and anything of that sort. It stems from when his mother died of a plague when he was fairly young. And she was lying in a sick bed and all these doctors around who didn't really do anything helpful. And
I'm so sorry. I'm going to interrupt you. My cursor's in the middle of the screen. I'm going to have to take this again. I'm so sorry. Okay. This time I promise. I am so sorry. I really am.
And this time I mean it.
Okay, in 3, 2. Let me let my UI go away. 1. Hello, everybody.
What's up, YouTube?
You know what? I deserve that.
You can't. Oh my god.
Okay.
You should keep that one.
Right. It's all going in the episode. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Armored Otter, a.k.a. Alex Bove, flipped at that time. And with me I have our 3 unfortunate survivors. Hello, unfortunate survivors.
Hello.
I like being a survivor.
Unfortunate for some, perhaps. Today, before we dive right into the episode, I'd like to ask you about your characters and if they have any irrational fears. Starting with, of course, the incomparable Avery Locke.
That's right, I am incomparable. Avery Locke has a pretty deep-seated fear or discomfort with hospitals, sick wards, sanatoriums, anything of that sort. Stems from when he had to watch his mother die of a disease when he was relatively young, see all the hospitals and nurses running around doing nothing, all the family's money doesn't count for anything, and he just really kind of hit him pretty deep.
Very nice. Very sad. Desdemona, last episode we found out about your cryophobia. What would you like to tell us today about Desdemona's unconditional fears?
Yes, so on top of the definite cryophobia that she has, I would say that another irrational fear of Desdemona's has to be just, and I guess unironically, the fear of losing her child. Just when Evangeline was alive, Desdemona would make every effort to ensure that her daughter was safe, healthy, clean, and by her side as much as possible without any kind of chance of her getting lost or hurt in any kind of way. Just the incident that took her daughter's life just pretty much set her.
Wow. Okay, wonderful. Super dark stuff so far. Jeremiah, perhaps you can make it lighter. Tell us about your unconditional fear.
He's scared of nothing. No. Jeremiah's irrational fear is of cold water. Ooh. He doesn't like cold water. And it's not something that happened when he was a kid. It happened when he was a bit later in life after his kids were born. There was a particularly rough winter, and he had to go out on a nearby lake to fetch one of his dogs that had gotten off the farm and was just kind of running around out there. And he broke through the ice and fell in and managed to get himself out. He didn't fall all the way in, but enough where he was really panicking for a moment. Nothing like that had ever really happened to him before. And the thought that he wouldn't see his family again, or that, just to die alone in dark, cold water, it got to him. And even if it's not icy, just cold water, cold rivers, cold lakes, cold streams, he doesn't like it.
Wonderful. Love these tasty little tidbits, guys. So,
yeah, I'm sure they won't come back to haunt us at all.
No, definitely not relevant for anything that I'm going to do to you. Anyway, no. Before we dive into the episode, I'm going to give you a quick little recap of what happened so far, because last episode was a bit of exposition. So to get us on the right track, previously our unfortunate survivors found a much-needed sanctuary after barely escaping the mangled jaws of Brother Eli. It was there that Emma told them that she belonged to a coalition of ethereals and humans called the Long Night, who had a goal of wresting control of Cairn back from the invading ethereals. Jeremiah had found a slate of obsidian stone embedded in the earth that imparted the feeling unto him that his daughter, Lucy, was recently at that very same grove. After getting enough rest and licking their wounds, the group traveled toward Ugdenbog to escape the fiery wrath of ethereal terraformers, only to be intercepted by a wild-eyed Inquisitor Margrave, who quickly overwhelmed them. With quick thinking, our survivors were able to outmaneuver Margrave, but not without taking considerable damage, including an unconscious and frostbitten Desdemona. Now, our survivors must navigate the enchanted morass of Ugdenbog. Can they make it out alive?
Yes.
And now I'm going to definitely not flip
you were
the page
asking, right?
of the thing that I wasn't reading before. So to set the scene, before we dive into where we actually are, we are going... Oh my god, hold on. I'm going to...
That's fine. I can hear my dryer going off. Give me 1 second. I just want to close the door to the bathroom because I can hear it and I don't want it to come through the mic. So give me 1 second.
Sure. I really needed to figure out why this camera constantly fucks with its... Hold on. I'm going to turn off my camera and turn it back on. And then hopefully if I just sit right here the entire time, it'll be fine forever. Hi. Okay, wonderful. So before we dive right into the episode, we are first going to dive in to the subconscious of one Desdemona Valmara.
Ooh.
We're going to snap to the moment that Desdemona triggered that rune, freezing her body solid as she slips out of consciousness, her vision narrowing to a single point of light before turning completely dark. And in that inky black void, you hear the voice of none other than Evangeline calling out to you. Mama! Mama, wake up! You also hear the voice of what sounds to be a sultry young woman who is whispering in her ear, saying, "Now, I expected more from you. This is rather disappointing." And then you also hear the sounds of slow and subtle sobbing and heaving. As your vision returns to you, you see standing in front of you 3 figures. One is an old man with a wrinkled face and a tattered beard, with a gaping wound in his chest that is just constantly dripping blood into the nothingness. Not spattering against the floor because there is no floor. just seeping off through his robes, down his legs, into nothing. He is clutching his chest, and he looks despondent. Not hurt, not angry, but betrayed. And in the middle, you of course see your beautiful daughter, the same daughter that you've always known. One Evangeline Lilly in a wonderful purple dress, long white stockings, shiny black dress shoes. And then over to the right, you see a woman in a emerald green bonnet dress. She has, almost not unlike one Jahandra Valmaris, her hair tied up in a loose bun, but no gray streaks here. Instead, she's got impeccable makeup, long nails that come to a point with the same sort of emerald green, and traveling up and down her fingers are widows, spiders, just scoping out down the edge of her hand to her finger before crawling up her palm and returning back to when they came. And they are all looking at you, expectantly. In the back of your mind, you hear a voice, seemingly coming from nowhere. There are 3 paths. There are always 3 paths. Never more, never less. You see the old man, he says, Ms. Valmaris, this is the path of vengeance, the path of anger. This is the path of power. And then to the right, you see the woman who says, darling, this is the path of control. Something you've always had, but never grasped for. Grasp for it. And then, in the middle, you don't hear a persuasive plea. You instead hear Emma going, Mama, you need me. And she holds out her hand, her arms widespread for a hug. And she says, Did I get the name wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You said
Ah, okay. I'll take it again. In the middle, you see Evangeline, who is not giving you a persuasive plea, but instead is holding her arms outstretched, looking you directly in your eyes and saying, Mama, you need me, and I need you. And she's holding her arms outstretched, and they're all waiting to see what you will do, Miss Valmaris.
Desdemona, she doesn't recognize either of the 2 other figures other than Evangeline, right? These are 2 strangers.
2 strangers, absolutely. You don't recognize their form. However, this is all happening inside of you. You sort of recognize the bubbling feeling that you get whenever you look at them. It's... you look at the man and you do feel that sort of seething heat from the rage deep inside of you. You look at the woman in that sort of tight and bond dress and you do feel your need for control. And you look at Evangeline and you see love. That warm feeling when you know that at the end of the day, someone will be there for you. The feeling of being held.
Desdemona, she looks at each of the strangers, to the old man and to the woman, just kind of looking back and forth between them. She just addresses them and says, I don't need anything that you have, or want to give me, or claim that I have. I know what I want. And she runs forward towards Evie, arms outstretched.
And Evie meets you halfway, fully leaping into your arms and hugging you back. And you hear the plodding footsteps of wet, blood-soaked feet and high stiletto heels as they both walk off. And you hear the woman say, "I expected more from you, street urchin." And they walk off. You look around, and you're alone. And this is when your vision begins to blurrily and blearily seep back into your eyes. Is anybody carrying Desdemona?
That would be me.
All right.
One arm over the shoulder. Since my bad arm's not much use.
So, Desdemona, what you see all around you is shades of verdant green and brown spiraling up from this swampy, wet dirt. Sort of gnarled, twisted trees reach out and around through knots and vines. You hear the steady moaning of bullfrogs as they... And you see these sort of violent-looking vines as they sort of wrap around the other plant life and choke it out until it is dead, like everything around you. And the intense humidity of this area is making your clothes, your skin, your body feel heavy. But you do notice that your vision is slightly upside down, slightly jostling. By the way, mechanically, everybody, you have taken a short rest. You have been trekking through Uchtdonbog for several hours now. And it is only Desdemona who is unfamiliar with this place.
Ooh, she was unconscious for several hours. That's not good.
That is not good.
I'm going to roll a couple hit dice over here.
Roll your hit dice if you need to.
Ooh.
I am
rolls.
not going to. How'd you do?
I'm fully healthy again.
Yeah.
I'm only down 3 HP, so I'm not going to use any.
And I have my spell slots. I mean, usage of Inquisitor techniques and tools.
While we are rolling our hit die, I'm going to go ahead and set the scene. Because you guys have now plodded well into Uchtdonbog. You have seen sort of shifting shapes in the trees in the thicket. You have seen these sort of hard-shell, spiny crabs that seem to burrow up under the ground, only to filter feed for a moment before digging back into the wet ground beyond you. You've seen massive gnarled horns sort of poking up, seemingly dripping with blood. But you found a nice clearing, a nice few bit of dry rocks to sort of stay and catch your breath. Emma addresses you all, and she says, "Okay. From here, it is not so straightforward. The auger shrouds our path and shrouds theirs as well. If we want to catch up with the long night, then we are going to have to pass through some trials. Prove that we are of the right mind. The auger is rather particular of their secrets."
This whole thing's been trials.
It's not too much farther, Jeremiah. Whenever we meet up with my people, perhaps we can all take some much-needed rest and recoup. The apothecary can see to your arm. She won't fix it perfectly, but she can fix it enough.
Can the apothecary get the real Emma back?
She stares off into the ground. And in a sort of half sob, she says, "No. That is not within her purview.
Are we continuing on, or is she doing this still during our short rest?
This is sort of all rolled up into the short rest.
Okay, because there's some stuff that Jeremiah would like to do during the short rest. That's all. Sorry, continue. I apologize.
Okay, so mechanically, what do you want to figure out during your short rest?
Figure out nothing. Jeremiah wants to talk to Maddie and Jenna. See how they're doing.
Little Maddie Lipton and, of course, Jenna.
Yeah.
Jenna, let me look this up in my notes.
Jenna Salwell.
Jenna Salwell, yes. Little Maddie Lipton and Jenna Salwell.
Jeremiah's going to call him over and, Maddie, Jenna, come here. I'm sorry I haven't really been talking with you much since we got you out of that basement or whatever it was. I know this whole thing sucks, but how are you holding up? Any of you guys hurt?
Jenna looks to you, gun slung over her shoulder. She puts Maddie down on the ground as she was cradling him earlier. And she says, well, I got a few scrapes and bruises, but nothing time won't fix. I'm more worried about your arm, Mr. Jeremiah.
Yeah, me too, but that's not the biggest thing to worry about right now.
What's that?
He just waves his hand. Everything.
Whenever we was growing up on the farmstead, we heard stories about this place. People wandering in at night, never coming back. People getting dragged from their beds into the Ugdenbog. I don't know, this whole place feels wrong.
Well, I don't know if it'll give you any comfort or make it worse, but if you think back to what the past few days have been, I don't think this is going to be any worse.
I suppose there might truth that. She takes out her gun and cocks it a single time, and she goes, well, if you need somebody to pull the trigger, I'm right by your side, Mr. Jeremiah.
I appreciate that. And how about you, Rolt? Maddie.
Oh.
How you doing, buddy?
Maddie looks down at the ground and he goes, fine.
And I kneel down and I just kind of like pick his chin up a little bit so I can look him in the face and I say, it's okay. Now's not the time to pretend to be strong. This is a bad situation. You've seen more than you should. I'm sorry for that. But I want you to know that whatever happens, I'm going to protect you as best I can. It's a promise.
Yeah, you look into his face and it's definitely sticky with snot and tears. His eyes are red and bleary from almost nonstop crying. He looks to you and he sort of makes the motions like he's about to cry again, but he heaves and nothing really comes out. And Jenna sort of picks him back up again, and she says, honestly haven't gotten more than one word out of him ever since we got out of that place. I don't know.
Yeah.
We better just focus on the road ahead.
Yeah. Might be for the best for now. That goes for you too, Jenna. You know I'll keep an eye out for you.
No.
Keep that gun cocked. This is all I got left, and he pats his one little hatchet hanging from his belt. Bastard Margrave took off with my other one. That was a good axe, too.
Mr. Jeremiah, I promise you don't need to look after me. I'm more than capable of looking after myself, and I will pull my weight. I promise.
I knew I was right not to coddle her back in the basement.
And Jeremiah just nods. Says, that's good. That's good. And then he kind of straightens up and then looks at Emma.
If it's okay, Avery would like to check on the frostbite patient.
Hi, yes, the frostbite patient. As you approach Miss Desdemona...
She's faking!
As you approach Desdemona, you see that her pinky fingers on either hand are sort of blackened out. Her fingernail has sort of sloughed off at this point and is sort of curling, her entire finger's curling inward. As you can tell when you hold it out, Desdemona, you feel radiating pain from where Avery places his fingers. Do you want to make a prognosis, Doctor?
I'm really not much of a doctor, but I'd like to see if I can tell anything about it.
You can make a medicine roll.
Can I assist him to give him advantage? I am proficient in medicine.
Absolutely. Tell me how...
If you're proficient in medicine, you make the roll, man.
So maybe Avery, right, comes over and gets Jeremiah. Maybe that's like the end of his conversation with the other two.
Great. Go ahead and roll medicine with advantage.
Sure.
Jeremiah.
Hold on. Sorry, let me get my dice. I was about to roll on D&D Beyond. All right.
Because they need our plug.
That's right.
Yeah, right. Oh my god. Sorry, I got so many books and shit out. So much stuff to keep track of. All right. Let's see how my dice like me today.
Why use all the books when you have D&D Beyond?
Because there's nothing like having the book in front of you. I love flipping through the pages and looking at it.
Okay, so are you trying to get a D&D Beyond sponsorship or not?
I mean, it'd be nice.
But, you know, the first one is an 8 total. The second one is a 9 total.
She got frostbite.
Yep. Do I think pumping some of my Gauntlet's green energy into it would do anything?
From what Jeremiah just sort of... From what Jeremiah sort of sussed out, you can tell that the most you can do is try to keep her hands warm and to dull the pain. Desdemona, what this means for you is that if somehow you can get your frostbite treated, that either by amputation or some sort of magical means, you're going to have a -1 to dexterity and constitution rolls. Saving throws, mind you.
Boy.
So just mark that on your sheet. And to remind everybody at home and Desdemona, until you get a long rest, your maximum amount of death saving throws until you die is 2. Which means you need to make 3 successful saving throws to get back up, and 2 to be permanently dead. Fun stuff.
Super.
All right. Hold on till we can get you somewhere with better facilities, I guess.
As soon as you mention better facilities, you sort of feel a creeping chill go down your spine and sort of hit your stomach, Avery. See, it's already coming back to haunt you.
There we go.
Here, I pull out maybe like an overshirt or something that's in my pack, or if we have blankets or something, and I wrap it around Desdemona. I say, try and keep your hands warm. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do out here, but
that sounds sensible.
I'll tell you what, you probably, unless you specifically picked it up on the way, you probably can tear off actual parts of your gambeson or your undershirt and fashion that into a makeshift bandage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you wrap it around her hand, make sure it's nice and tight.
Yeah, I'll rip off a strip and hand it to her.
Yeah, very John McClane of you.
Oh, yeah.
So Emma approaches, or sort of proclaims to the group out loud, "The auger's test should be right through this thicket. After we pass that, it should be a straight shot to the Long Night headquarters."
What are we waiting for then? Let's do it.
Any idea what to expect?
She always changes, but she told me once that the tests are exactly what somebody needs to do. I am not certain what that means, but the auger has never led me astray before.
Do you know, are they going to be different for each of us, or are we going to face this all together?
The auger is never somebody to skimp on creative solutions. I would be shocked if all of your tests were the same.
Right. Well, yep. I guess, like Avery said, let's get going.
So Emma actually leads the way, and she sort of makes her way to these two sort of gnarled willow trees that are arching up over each other. The branches are twisting around the other branches. Vines are sort of creeping all around it. And she parts moss to the side. And as you follow her through this sort of doorway made out of trees, you feel this sort of magical stillness in the air as 3 statues are sort of placed in a pedestal right in the middle of this clearing. And from left to right, you see 3 figures in these statues. In the far left is a woman sort of dressed in priestly garb. She's got ornate necklaces, ornate bracelets, but the thing that immediately sticks out to you about her is that she's got this sort of glowing sapphire placed right over her heart. In the center, you see what seems to be a cloaked mage. You cannot make out his face, it's all shadow. However, he's got satchels of tomes by his side. He's got a sort of wicked-looking blade on his other. And he is holding up a fist, and in the center of his fist, what looks to be a shining red ruby. And finally, you see what looks to be an old man. Sort of withered and desiccated. His skin looks wrinkled and gnarled. And he is dressed sort of like a scholar. Almost very similar to how Avery is dressed, with a sort of cloth doublet reaching all the way down to the ground. And of course, where his eyes are 2 shining green emeralds. And there is a placard in front of those statues as well. And the placard says, "As it was then, as it is now, always 3 there are, and 3 there shall always be." And branching out behind the statues are 3 separate paths.
Well, I think I know what the statues want us to do.
So I guess this is where we say goodbye for now.
You see Emma, Jenna, and little Maddie Lipton are all sort of sitting around. Emma starting a makeshift fire. She looks up to you and she says, "If it's like any time before, then this will not be a quick process, but I have the utmost faith in you. We will be here, we will be safe until you return."
Avery just steps forward, looking more confident than he really feels, says, "Well, good luck, I guess." And he steps beyond the scholar with the emerald eyes.
You follow a path, and as you follow down that path, the bog around you, even though the sun is high in the sky, it's midday at this point, the path gets unnaturally dark and dark and dark. And Desdemona and Jeremiah, you see Avery slip off into nothing, into a wisp of dark smoke.
That doesn't seem natural.
Real.
And if you guys need any reminders of anything that you saw in the statue, or if you want to inspect it further, just let me know.
How you doing, Desdemona? You alright for this?
Desdemona, she is still staring down at the path that Avery took and just staring at nothing, essentially. She doesn't immediately answer Jeremiah and instead turns to Emma, just asks, "Where does that path take? Where did he go?"
I am not certain. It took him to exactly where he needed to be. And right now we are going to temporarily shift the scene to Mr. Avery Locke. You continue down this path. You see absolutely nothing in front of you, just total still darkness. Until you see a door in the distance. And as you get closer to the door, a sort of soft pale light illuminates the room around you. It's not totally well lit, but it's almost as if your eyes have adjusted to an imaginary darkness. You sort of scan the edges of the room, and it looks like simple nothingness. Square edges, corners, walls that don't look like anything, a floor that feels like nothing. But a door that hangs on no hinges and just exists. And materializing out of a green smoke seems to be this creature, it's got a tail wrapped with spiked barbs, and this sort of hair that's dripping with this sort of green ichor. And it's a quadruped, so it's on all fours. And it has no eyes of its own, but several eyes are sort of floating around. And it addresses...
Like anything I've seen before in real life or in a book?
Yeah, make a nature check.
18.
18! Good enough. You definitely recognize this as a sort of creature that tends to dwell in trashy or swampy areas. However, this is a supernatural take on it. It almost has a porcupine-esque appearance, except with a large barbed tail at the end. Except normally these creatures, in nature, don't have several dozen floating eyes surrounding it. So that is a notable difference. And normally these creatures are not intelligent enough to speak, but this one is. Without...
So it's a supernatural manticore-like thing?
Yeah, like a trashy porcupine manticore.
Okay, no, I hear you. Okay.
A raccoonopinacore.
A raccoonopinacore.
The eyes are making me... Okay.
So as the eyes are floating around, you notice that they're, despite shifting around, they're always trained exactly on you. No matter how they shift in the room, no matter how they float and bob and weave, the pupils are trained directly on you. And the creature...
the Grim Dawn player in me just got what's going on. Okay, that's cool.
The creature, without moving its mouth or without making any moves at all, says, seeker of knowledge. You may stay here for as long as you wish. You may memorize the pattern, but every answer comes with a consequence. From your mind, not your body. The door beyond you has no lock, has no knob, but it will open when you give me the correct answer. And then you see coming from behind you what looks to be the old man. The old man approaches the creature. The creature speaks to the old man. He says, 12. The old man looks at him and goes, 6. And the creature looks down at the old man and goes, very well. The old man walks past him, opens up the door, steps out, and still beyond. Again, the same old man enters from behind you, approaches the porcupine, addresses the porcupine. The porcupine says to the old man, 6. The old man hesitates, just for a brief moment, before saying, 3. Porcupine, again, makes room for the old man, the door swings open, and the old man disappears into nothing. Again, you may stay as long as you wish. You may contemplate for as long as you need, but every wrong answer comes with a price. Approach me when you are ready.
You know, the people I used to work for would not approve of me talking to you, I don't think. I step forward.
He eyes you up and down in a very literal way. The eyes sort of shift all around, swirl about you, and it speaks in a loud, clear proclamation. And he goes, 10.
5.
Make an intelligence saving throw.
No. 17.
17. You feel intrusive thoughts of everything at once. Your mind is swarmed with meaningless knowledge. Numbers, facts, dates, names, faces. It's overwhelming until you breathe deep and you're able to force those thoughts out of your mind. The creature says, "You may take as long as you need. You may contemplate for as long as you must. Every answer comes with a price." And then we shift away. We are back into the clearing with one Desdemona and one Jeremiah. Once again, the 3 statues in front of you with 3 paths. Do you guys need any reminders about what the statues are or what they look like?
So is it clear that we have to all pick our each and every own path? Like that is what is implied?
Talking out of game for a moment.
If you guys want to do some table talk, that's totally fine.
Yeah. I mean, I would think so, right? Because the placard said... Actually, I didn't get the chance to write the record, but 3 there always were and 3 there always shall be.
Would you like me to repeat what's on the placard?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
As it was then, is as it is now. Always 3 there are, and 3 there shall always be. And would you like any reminders about what the statues look like above them?
I'm good. I think I got some notes down. Woman wearing riches and stuff with a sapphire over her heart, and then a cloaked mage with a sword on one side and books on the other, with his fist in the air with a big ruby in it, and then the old man.
Well, if we are returning back to the same moment after Desdemona asked Emma the question, she looks down at her bandaged hand, holds the spirit board in her other arm and clutches it close to her chest and looks up to Jeremiah with understandably sad eyes and says, "No, I don't think any of us are all right, and I'm no exception. But if this is something that we must do to get to the other side, I think I'm going to go through one of these paths now."
All right. Good luck. I'll see you soon.
And she turns and she is going to walk towards the path of the Sapphire Woman.
And again, you walk down that path. It seems like the trees are closing all around you. Light seems to be winked out of this place as there is no space for it between the thicket of branches as you walk further and further, until you eventually find a wooden door, again attached to nothing, seemingly hanging in the middle of space itself. And in front of that is a familiar face. A woman with a green emerald dress, with long pointed sapphire nails, with spiders crawling up and down them. And she goes, "Oh, what an absolute pleasure."
Who are you?
My darling, I am fate itself, one might say. Or at least, I'm inescapable like fate. Who are you, may I ask?
I believe you know who I am.
No,
We just saw each other.
I know who you are, but I'm asking you, are you the sad, feckless widow? Or are you the wily street urchin? Because I've got no interest in dealing with a widow.
What difference does it make what I am?
A smile crawls across her face. Street urchin it is. By the way, can we drop the Valmaris of it all? I feel like it's so blasé. What was your given name?
My last name is Fury.
What a fine name it is, child. tell me, in your honest opinion, were you elevated by the status of your husband, or was it you who elevated him?
Just to take a step back out of this.
Would you like to cut away?
Could we, but just really quick, where are we exactly? I know you said that there's a door, and as soon as the door is open, that's where the woman was. There's nothing else.
So she is between you and the door. And you sort of see this vague outline of a room, as if your mind is suggesting to you that you're in a room. It doesn't really feel like there's a floor. You look for walls, and it doesn't really look like there's walls. There's just spaces where light bends where it shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm going to think about that one.
Wonderful.
I don't like this woman.
She likes you very much. And we cut away. Jeremiah left alone. 3 statues, 3 paths.
I walk up to the middle one, and I look it dead in its stony eyes, and I say, I guess that means I'm yours. Nah, fuck that. You're mine. And I'd like to take a closer look at it. Does this stone have any resemblance to the stone, not plate, but that stone thing that we found at the Grove?
None really whatsoever. Not in color, not in shape, not in texture. This seems to be sort of wrought out of marble, or some sort of fine dark marble.
The font's probably different.
Yeah. This one is very serifed. And I just take a moment and
Would you be surprised if I told you that it was papyrus?
Oh, no.
Whoa.
I think they have better taste than that.
Yeah, right.
No, it's lightly serifed font, beautiful curves. Ring bearer, if you must know.
I look the statue up and down. And as I begin to walk forward, I just think, I say out loud, I say, her name is Lucy Husker, daughter of Jeremiah Husker and Annabelle Husker, big sister to Roland Husker. And I start repeating that to myself, knowing in my heart that no matter how hard he tries, Emma is probably lost. And that he has to focus on the last little girl that he can. And starts walking forward.
Well, we move from that touching moment to something a bit more claustrophobic.
Oh, of course.
This tunnel is even narrower than the ones that your compatriots went down. At a point, it even forces you down on your hands and your knees as you are crawling over what seem to be sharp thickets and barbs.
I think you mean hand and knees. Dragging my bad arm behind me.
True. Hand and knees. Until...
I really should have made you a sling.
Yeah.
We'll have time for that later. I think he's thinking that as he's going like, fuck, you should have made a sling.
Sling or no sling, all the same, Jeremiah. The tunnel eventually opens up. Branches give way to a shapeless, seamless room. But however, this one has sort of roaring torches at the end, dotted in either corner. And the same sort of floating wooden door attached to nothing, perhaps going nowhere, with a cloaked man in front of it. And in front of him, a large stone table. And on that table, a large blade. The figure addresses you. Tell me, what would you give for power?
Nothing. I don't want power.
Power is malleable. It's fluid. Power to save those you love. power to scour the world of those who see unfit. It's one and the same. A man who shirks from power is no man at all.
Jeremiah stays silent. I answered his question unless he's got something else to ask me. I stay silent for a moment.
You picked the angry one.
He looks at you and says, do you know what the secret to power is? In any form, in any shape, there's always one infallible source. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
It is something you are so intimately familiar with. It is sacrifice.
Then I've got all the power I need already. I don't need to give anything else.
Very well. Rebuff me if you must. You can leave the
honest.
way you came.
I don't leave, I say. I'm just being honest. The truth can hurt. I'm sorry if that upsets you. But don't take my honesty for insolence.
Gods do not concern themselves with the opinions of ants. I am offering you a path forward. You can reject me all you like. We're going to let you marinate on that for a little bit. As we go back to Mr. Avery Locke. Tell me, Mr. Locke. The creature gives you an option. He says, would you like to see somebody else pass through the door? A cost for everything.
No, actually, I'd rather ask a question if you don't mind.
Seeker of knowledge, ask your question.
There are any number of patterns that could be inferred from the two examples. I could think of at least 5 off the top of my head. I gave you the simplest one, but what's the significance to any one of them? Why not just pick the simplest one?
Why not, indeed? Knowledge is not about the simplest answer, in my opinion. It is about the patience to dig and search and find the correct answer.
I think we can respect each other on that.
Oh, I respect you very much, Mr. Locke.
That should worry me.
Why? I've seen you tirelessly searching. No rhyme, no reason. You dig and you delve for nothing more than knowledge for knowledge's sake. You fascinate me. You are a rare specimen, Mr. Locke.
I start walking past them.
4.
8.
Make an intelligence saving throw.
15.
15. Well, my friend, that is at the DC. So that means you pass. Again, your mind is flooded with these thoughts of inane nothingness. Thousands of millions and uncountable words. And then it passes, as all things do.
Very well. Show me another.
You walk up, you approach him once again.
I say, show me another. Another person walking through.
All right. As with all things, this too comes with a cost.
I'll pay it.
Make an intelligence saving throw. It's less than 15?
It's less than 15.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
It's 6.
Professor Avery Locke, your mind is so important to you. You've crafted it and sharpened it and honed it for all these years. You pride yourself on being able to find the right solution, know the right answer at the right time. But right now, you feel the edges of your sharp mind get a little duller, a little fuzzier, as you lose 2 intelligence points.
Oh, shit.
Show me.
You see an old man walk up. The same old man, never changes. The creature greets the old man and says, 2. Old man hesitates for a moment before answering, 3. The creature steps aside and opens the door. The old man walks and disappears into nothing. We are going to shift now to Miss Desdemona. Do you have an answer for my question?
Christ. The question was, did I elevate my husband's status, or did he elevate mine?
Correct. Very catty, this one.
Yeah, fuck her. Jesus. Desdemona looks at this woman just very... not sternly, I guess. Just, she looks at her with an intense stare. She is not liking the vibe that this woman is giving off. But her response is... I would imagine that our status was shared. He elevated my status in a sense, and I elevated his, but that is how a relationship should be, in equal parts.
She disappears from the door and reappears behind you and speaks into your ear. Spoken like a true politician. And as she says that, the room stretches out before you. The walls decorate with these lavish gold and crimson flags. There's a beautiful ornate rug that rolls out from where you are standing to the end of the room. A large table thwomps into the middle of existence. 3 chairs clatter to the ground, and then a 4th one right in front of you pulls up. And then you see 3 people appear in the opposite chairs. And then she whispers in your ear, I am willing to bet that if you were in your husband's position, you could have navigated this situation way better than he could have. It's all you have to do to get out of this room is get everything that you want and give nothing, like a true politician. And remember, I don't want the crying widow, I want the street urchin. Remember those lessons you learned when you were so desperate. Ta-ta for now. And then she slinks off into the shadows. And you see 3 men, old men, sitting in front of you, discussing nothing, chitter-chattering, laughing with their bellies. One looks at you, goes, Councilwoman Valmaris, come sit down. We have much to discuss, I'm sure. And they all sort of laugh at you, not expecting much. The one at the head of the table drums his thumbs and goes, Yes, Councilwoman Valmaris, I'm sure you want to talk to us about the laughable proposal to bring food to the Candlelight District. Tell me, where is it in the budget?
Again, do I recognize any of these men as actual council people?
Ooh. Roll me, if you will, 3 separate history checks.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, let's do this. Let's go for the nat green dice.
Ooh, very on brand.
Yeah.
Very thematic.
Okay, the first one was a 7. The next one is a 15. And the last one is a 17.
Okay. 2 for 3 is not bad. And let me tell you that you got the most important one.
Cool.
Yeah. To your right is Councilman Drevin Cole. He sort of oversees trade and exports. And you know that he wants that his docks to be moving ship-shape without any interruptions. That's his big priority. And dead in front of you, you've seen this man before, as this is Magistrate Lissay. You see half of his face is sort of dragging to the side as his eyes droop down, and so does his mouth, but the rest of his face feels nice and tight and hangs in place. And he is dressed in a navy surcoat with gold clasps, as he is cartoonishly drumming a pile of coins up and down on the table. I'm waiting for my answer, Miss Valmaris. You can't expect me to pay for bread for lazy louts that won't even work for it? No. What are you gonna cut to get your bread?
Desdemona looks at the men. She looks down at the chair that is in front of her. She just breathes in, breathes out. And she just puts a gentle smile on her face, and she just says, Gentlemen, this conversation is open for discussion. Let's begin. And she takes a seat, and she kind of scoots her chair up and folds her hands on the table and ready to answer them.
Okay, so your first question, coming from across the aisle. How are you gonna pay for this, Miss Valmaris? Bread's expensive. We need to import wheat, get somebody to bake it. It's a whole process.
Well, simply there are enough people in the Candle District that may be interested in acquiring their own meals of food, if they are able to make it themselves, if there is enough materials to go around. And of course, that would have to mean that there is enough to go around, so cuts would have to be made potentially for an equal share amongst the 3 districts.
All 3 men just sort of clatter at their place, sort of talking over each other, seemingly all a nice quiet level of outraged at having their districts cut. Magistrate Lesesos goes, there is not a single crown to be had in Crown Hill. The budget there is very precise, incredibly manicured. We can't go without a single amenity. Perhaps you can take twice as much from the docks. Perhaps if they run every other day, you could have your bread. And then, of course, over to your right, Councilman Drevin Cole starts shouting, absolutely not. The docks, if anything, we need to be bringing in more ships from Port Valbury. We need to be sending out more ships. We need to be bringing in more imports. This is absurd. So just to reiterate the information that you have, in front of you, Councilman / Magistrate Lissay is very concerned with his coin. Not a single coin can be removed from the Crown Hill budget. Over to your right, Councilman Cole. He oversees the iron docks, and he needs his ships to run promptly and thoroughly. And you haven't really engaged with the other councilman. We're going to cut now to Jeremiah. You are in a staring contest with a man with no face. Just 2 red, fiery eyes sort of blinking in and out of existence under a dark hood.
I say, may I inspect that sword?
Go right ahead.
And I walk forward, and as I do it, I say, all right, let me think of an answer. I don't know if you actually know who I am or not, but I'm not the brightest man. Let me think a little.
Don't answer with your words, answer with your actions. Show me how much you're willing to sacrifice for power.
I walk forward and I take a look at that sword. And you said it's sitting on a stone table?
Stone table.
I'm interested in looking at that stone table as well. Jeremiah's got a thing in his head about stone now.
Okay, stone table just looks like a granite slab. Go ahead.
Was that the same type of stone? I'm trying to remember now if that thing was granite or not.
Which? The thing that you saw in
the at the Grove that's sticking in my head.
No, the Grove seemed like obsidian to you.
Obsidian, crap. Okay, right. And yeah, I focus more on the sword.
The sword is razor sharp. It almost hurts to look at. You can tell that this sword will easily cut through most things.
How large is it? You said it's pretty big?
Pretty big. Hand and a half.
Well, for the power to protect those important to me, even protect those who aren't, I reach down and I put my hand on the handle, try to lift it up with my one good arm.
As you grasp the handle, you feel this sort of innate well of willpower sort of churn and bubble within you, this sort of pale blue light at the very core of your being, and you hold the sword in your hand. It feels perfectly balanced, nice and fluid in your hands.
And I look up at the guy and say, for that power, I'd give anything. This is a nice sword. Let's see what it can do. And I charge at the guy in front of the door.
Okay. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Okay.
I mean, clearly he's willing to sacrifice his own life if he's charging that dude.
He said show you. Natural 1, baby. Natural 1.
Man.
My
It was a
die
natural
is not My die is not happy with me tonight.
You go to swing your sword, and the sword or the target of your ire is but a phantom. Turns to smoke in front of you. As you stumble forward, clatter up against the door that does not budge. The figure reappears and goes, "There are no clever answers. There's no way around this. There's one path. Show me what you're willing to sacrifice for power." We're going to shift now
Oh, okay.
over to Mr. Avery Locke. Avery, you can feel the insanity seeping in from all around your vision. Wild thoughts enter your mind, stay there for a fleeting moment before leaving once again. The creature looks at you expectantly.
I have 4 answers for you. How do I choose? What do you see that I don't that makes one answer more correct than another?
There is one correct answer. No more, no less. Perhaps it is dumb luck that you find it.
That's not good enough. Dumb luck is... There can be 100 theories to explain 2 points, 50 theories to explain 3.
Perhaps.
And if you're not interested in simplicity, how do you judge them?
I judge them by what is right and what is wrong.
So many things can be right.
Perhaps you are looking too wide. Often the smartest men can miss the simplest of answers.
I gave you the simplest of answers.
You can stay and ponder as long as you like. Every answer comes with a cost.
I can't pay your cost. The more I pay your cost, the less I'll have to pay it with.
Such is the nature of costs.
What good am I to you? Without the power to think.
Mr. Locke, I do not wish to rob you of your mind. The last thing that I want. But if there were not a cost, then there would not be a meaning.
You think I didn't pay for my knowledge?
You may stay and ponder for as long as you need. You may ask once again for someone else to walk through my door. Every answer comes with a cost.
Do it then. Do it.
5.
I don't know.
5.
3.
Make a intelligence saving throw.
I want to cry right now.
This is
Natural 20
heartbreaking.
if it matters.
Oh, nice.
Your head is swarming with pieces of knowledge, relevant and irrelevant. Everything filters out. Except for one thing. One word. Count. The creature looks at you again. Says, would you like to try again? We cut from Mr. Avery Locke to Councilwoman Valmaris.
I'm not ready yet.
This whole thing is so intense. I actually am, not to have. If
No,
Mari
okay,
does want
perfect.
more time,
Then
I know what I want to do.
we cut to
Thinking back to college speaking.
I was gonna say, for both of you, this is crazy. For all three of us, this is crazy. But I'm loving watching these. Oh,
Right.
Real quick, off camera, we got 12-6, 6-3, and 2-3.
then we are going to cut to Jeremiah.
all right. I think I know what I need to do. Before I do it, may I ask you your name? I'd like to know who's setting these tasks. Who's setting me this task? You said a man without power is hardly a man. What about one without a name?
I am one of 3.
Well,
The triumvirate.
that's a weird name, but good as any, I guess. Well, I'm Jeremiah Husker, and this is what I'll sacrifice for power. And I thrust the sword into my chest.
You raise the blade up, and you swing it down, and it stops mere inches from your beating heart. Boom, 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 boom. And the blade evaporates into smoke. You were willing to give everything for power. Remember that. Child, call me Soleil. The figure evaporates into black smoke as the door in front of you opens. With a creak and a swing,
Am I still holding the sword?
Sword is gone, evaporating into smoke.
I just kind of heave a slightly sad, like, damn it.
Would have been nice to have a shiny sword, huh?
Yeah, and I just kind of like pat my axe and I say, well, still got you. And
you reach down for your axe, and it is gone.
Yeah. Son of a...
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be a perfect. Yep, that tracks. And
so Lale reappears and it goes, "That was a true sacrifice. That axe."
Yeah, right. Yeah. No. I ponder on what he said. Does the name ring a bell to Jeremiah?
No, you can roll a religion check. It's going to be a very high DC.
Sure.
Actually, no. It's going to be a DC of 15, as I can see one path where your character would have learned this information.
I mean, for Jeremiah, that is very high.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough one. Let's see. 15 exactly. 14 plus my 1. 15.
Oh yeah, you're like proficient in religion for some reason, aren't you?
I am proficient in religion.
Yeah.
For some reason.
You remember, in the brief week that you had with the witch Lythria, she would regale your family in tales of all different deities, hers being Mogdragon, the wolf. But she would also tell you of 3 other gods that called themselves the witch gods, the triumvirate, the 3. That is Solael.
Solael?
Solael.
Okay.
The god of power and sacrifice.
Okay.
There was Bismael, the spider.
Z or S?
We'll get phonetic pronunciations later. Bismael, the spider. God of will and control. And of course, Dreeg, the thousand-eyed fiend. God of knowledge.
Okay. And as I start to walk out through the door, I just I say out loud, I'll remember that, Solael. Pleasure to meet you. And I walk forward.
And we shift over to Mr. Avery Locke.
See that face? That's yeah.
The creature looks at you expectantly, all dozen, 100, 1,000 eyes, uncountable, unknowable, look at you, swirl around you.
You know, I'm actually disappointed. I step forward. Let's go.
1.
3.
The creature steps aside, and the door swings open. Be well, Mr. Locke. And as you step out of that door, you feel your faculties return to you.
Oh my god. Oh, thank the 3.
Thank the 3. That's right. As your mind sort of realigns itself back to its new reality, the real reality, the reality that you know and have studied for ages and ages. You feel your knowledge flood back into your mind. Every name that you know, every book that you've read. It's your mind. It's your knowledge. We shift now to Councilwoman Valmaris. Councilwoman, you feel descending from the ceiling a spider that sort of gently perches on your shoulder. And the spider says, Councilwoman, I can't help but notice that you're treating these men with dignity. Your job is not to negotiate. No, your job is to take. Can I tell you the beautiful thing about spider webs?
You're going to tell me anyway.
I was going to tell you anyway.
I love this guy. This is great.
She's the best.
Spider webs are beautiful, perfect. But the most perfect thing about spider webs is you don't know you've walked into one until you're wrapped up with fangs deep in your belly. Weave a web, Miss Valmaris. Think like a street urchin.
Can I brush the spider off my shoulder?
She's already rappelling back up to the ceiling.
She's brushing off her shoulder regardless. Oh, I wrote a whole thing.
If you go for your whole thing. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I didn't think of a solution for this puzzle.
I thought of the politician answer, not the street urchin answer.
You can be a politician. You can reject her influence.
I wouldn't go for it anyway. Fuck spiders. Alright. Desdemona looks to Magistrate Lestray.
Lissay. Magistrate Lissay.
She looks to Magistrate Lissay, and just with a slight turn of her head, she says, Magistrate Lestray, money has to be spent in order to make money. Money must be placed into sourcing grain. Money must be placed into creating more flour mills, and to operate those mills are the jobless of the Candle District. Money must be placed into the ovens to bake the bread. Money must be placed into the stores to sell the bread. And who will be buying that bread? Those who put their blood, sweat, and tears into making it, because they now have the means to purchase it. The more we are able to create, the squalor and destitution of the less fortunate will become less of an issue. The more affordable housing is available, less people will have to take...
Can I cut you off there, Councilwoman?
Yes.
Frankly, I'm not at all concerned with well-being of your vagabond. Never have been. I am concerned with my purse strings. Do you know what a magistrate is? A financier. It's my money that flows to the city. And you want me to spend my money on grain? Ovens? I will give you these things if we can tax them at 40%. All of that money flows back into my pocket. My pocket flows back into Crown Hill. And then you can beg me for more scraps.
Desdemona looks at the other two gentlemen, Devin Cole and the other man that she's not familiar with. She just looks at them and says, and what say you, gentlemen, on the matter?
Well, if the money can't be found, the money can't be found. Seems like an open and shut case to us.
You gentlemen have never lived on the streets, have you?
Lissay leans closer to you, says, oh, Councilwoman Valmaris was bred by the streets. Only reason I am where I am now is because I worked my way off the streets. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I had to scrimp and save. Worked every day of my life until my entire body was sore. And now I have this. I have an empire. And you are on your knees in front of my throne. Don't presume you know anything about me. My checkbook will be balanced.
That's where you're wrong, Magistrate. I know what it's like to live on the streets as well. And I know what it takes to work your way from the bottom. That's why I want to give opportunities to those less fortunate to find their own fortune. What even gives you the right to be so greedy and cold? Have you no compassion?
You see, the other councilman member that you don't know, says, let's say she has a point there. You can't really expect people to be able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps if there's no bootstraps with which to pull. I feel like I missed the metaphor there. It doesn't matter.
Topical.
I hereby second Miss Von Morris's declaration.
She just gives a thankful nod in his direction.
Still don't have a majority, Miss Von Morris. You know who keeps the docks running? I keep the docks running. Unless you know some secret that I don't about shipments, things coming in and out of Port Valbury. I don't think your little vagabonds' bellies are going to be full tonight, Miss Von Morris. Are we ready to call this session? Dead heat, 2-2.
I will be willing to pick up this conversation whenever you gentlemen see fit.
The room before you disappears. The men turn into smoke. And you see the woman sort of tapping her fingers together, going, Didn't expect you to throw in the towel that quickly, dear. Didn't really go for the throat either. I'm afraid you've lost your instincts.
I beg to disagree. I'm in it for the long game.
She
Nice.
peeks up and she goes, "Oh, and tell me, what's the next step?"
You may have to be more specific. Next step of what, exactly?
How are you going to get your bread, councilwoman? You've got hungry mouths to feed. Your people cry out for you. And if you get them their bread, what can you get them next? Clean clothes? Running water? Housing? Sky is the limit. You can give these people dignity. But you walked away from the table. So what's the next step?
May I ask, what is it of a concern to you? What is your concern of it? What stake do you have in this matter, anyway?
I don't have a stake in this matter. I have a stake in you. You see, I thought I saw something rather special in you. You see, I saw a poor little girl who was able to do anything to get results. Not just for you, but for your people. Manipulation on that scale takes a lot.
Who said anything about manipulation?
That's all this is. Do you not see? Politics is manipulation. You manipulated your husband into starting a revolution.
holding back a punch here.
Do it.
No.
She right though.
She is girl.
Oh my god.
Maybe I was wrong.
I think you and I have two different definitions of politics. I am an optimist. And I am honest. I don't resort to manipulation.
Then you will not get your bread. You have to play the game, darling. Those who don't think 5 steps ahead will be crushed by those that do. Do you think those men are playing an honest game? Do you think the man who funnels his own money through the city only to come out richer is playing an honest game? Do you think the man that profits over the very shipments that he sees is playing an honest game? What's the problem with getting a little dirty with dirty men? It's the results that matter, love.
I may have just a shred more of pride than you to want to stoop to their level.
Well, you can keep your pride, and I will keep my empire. And everyone who dances along my web will have food and drink and livelihood. I can't say that I'm not heartbroken, truly. But you're free to leave from where you came. Or you can get your bread.
I still have the board with me, right?
You do indeed have the board with you.
Okay. I'm just curious. Do I feel that connection with Evangeline closely, or in the space that I'm in, is it nullified in a sense?
It's almost like one layer of separation from Evangeline. Almost like you are on a different plane than Evangeline is.
Desdemona closes her eyes and she realizes that the honest way is not going to get her far. And it hurts her. She just bites down on her lip and she puts her head down. Breathes out. So be it. Be your way then.
Hooray!
Pop off.
She's the best.
She takes out a little spider-woven silk handkerchief and tucks it into your pocket. And, well, she sponges off a little bit of dirt from underneath your eyes, cleans you up a little bit, touches it into your front pocket, and sort of pats you on the shoulders and goes, okay, remember, these are bad men. Sling dirt, aim below the belt. Anyway, I'll be rooting for you. And she sinks off in the shadows as the table, the chairs, the men, all of them reappear. Lissay says, I mean, we're at a dead heat. Suppose we should adjourn. Don't think you're getting your bread today, Miss Volmaris. Why don't we just call this session for the day? Come back with fresh eyes tomorrow, huh?
Okay. So these 3 men are individuals that Calvin has interacted with. So is it possible that Desdemona can think back to anything that Calvin has said about them that sounds like rumor or gossip or just kind of odd comments about them in their personal lives?
Go ahead, and so what's going to happen is you're going to see, once again, the spider repel from the ceiling and sort of chitter in your ear, and she can go, I can see you're spinning your web, little spider. Spin. I want you to make 3 separate history checks with advantage.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Nice.
2 different dice this time.
I think the spider cares if you think the way she wants you to.
You said history, right?
3 separate history checks with advantage.
All right. The first one was a 14.
Okay, going left to right.
Next one is 13.
Okie doke.
And, okay, the last one is a 19.
Okay, so I made the DC for, let's say, a little bit higher because he tends to be above the board with a lot of his stuff. He's very, very much so careful and calculated in his professional and personal life. However, at your left, you know that they love to have sex with prostitutes, even though they're a happily married man. It's sort of a well-known secret about town. However, nobody really talks about it all that much. But he's already on your side. The more interesting one would be Councilman Cole on your right, who is illegally skimming money and product off the top on every single dock shipment. Which is why he cares so much about how much the docks work, how much the boats come in and out, and where they come in and out, specifically from Port Valbury.
What is the real legal name of that crime?
Is that racketeering?
No. Depends how he's getting the money, I guess.
Just skimming?
I mean, it might just be like bribery if he's demanding, like, you know.
Bribery, stealing, larceny, grand larceny.
Larceny.
No, that's theft. Larceny is theft.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that be theft? Yeah, isn't that theft?
He's stealing from the city via his ports.
I don't think it's technically larceny.
Okay, how about this? You know that the difference in what he actually ships in and what he writes in his ledger, or what his dockmasters write in their ledger, are far from the truth.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yes. Thank you. Desdemona looks at the 3 gentlemen and with a very cool and calm composure about herself. She just says, no, we're not done here. I think we're going to come to a conclusion right now. Mr. Cole, what would you think if word got out that you were forging ledgers of everything that had come in on the docks? What if word got out about that?
Excuse me, this is preposterous. I've never forged a tome in my life. She's lying at the side of her mouth. Little snake.
Well, be it true or not true, word like that spreads like wildfire. And that, I believe, is the least of your concerns that you would need in your docks.
You see him heaving, drawing a ton amount of air into his breast, and he is staring daggers at you. And you hear, chittering in your ear, darling, I think you might just reach a quorum. Maybe call for a vote.
She just kind of like blinks the voice away, and again keeps the cool and calm composure about herself, and just says, "Gentlemen, word travels fast among our districts. I think it would be wise to just agree to what I am demanding here." We must be civil about these things. We wouldn't want an uprising, a riot. We wouldn't want to see the city burn, would we? So what say you all?
You see, to your left, his hand immediately shoots up. You see Councilman Lassay drumming his fingers in front of his mouth as his eyes train left to his right, or right to his left. Eyes meet Cole's, and Cole is looking at Lassay, and then turning his gaze back at you, and then he put his resigned hand up in the air. And then Councilman Lassay says, well, looks like we've reached a quorum. Looks like you're gonna get your bread after all, Councilwoman Valmaris. Well played.
I'm glad we could reach a decision.
The room in front of you disappears into smoke. And you see this woman perched at the door, and she looks at you and she says, oh, I knew you had it in you. From now on, I would love to see the street rat come out and play just a little bit more.
Are we done here?
We are indeed. And she opens the door in front of you and gestures through.
She picks her head up high and she walks through.
You walk into inky blackness. The door slams behind you as shadows fade away. One by one, you see both Jeremiah and Avery Locke both walk out of their doors. Their door slam behind them, and as it does, all of the smoke whisks away as you are exactly where you started. You look to your right and you see Emma and Jenna Solwell and little Maddie Lipton, except the fire that Emma had started before you entered the rooms has now sort of dwindled into embers. Except you look forward and there are no statues, no diverging paths, just one single path forward over bowing trees that look almost scenic if they didn't look so horrifying and bog sick.
How long were we in there?
Emma looks up at the sky and she sees that the sun is now sort of setting on the horizon. And she says, you were gone for some time, but you are back now.
Only felt like a couple minutes. Wow.
I trust that we were successful then. Is this the way forward?
It is indeed.
All right. Do we want to make camp here for the night, or do we want to press on? You said the sun is starting to go down?
Yes, the sun is starting to go down. Emma looks to you and she says, safety is but a breath away. I say we press on.
You're the boss. Let's go.
And she sort of marches forward and expects everyone to follow suit as she travels down that now open pathway. And after some time, moments pass, minutes, 10, 15 minutes, as you eventually reach this sort of scenic outcropping that dips down, down, down into the mouth of an open sea. And you see a dock stretch out from the muddy, marshy beaches in front of you. And at the end of the dock is a very simple boat. Enough to hold everybody. Looks maintained decently enough. And Emma is plodding forward very consistently towards that boat.
No. I hate boats.
Come on, let's get your daughter.
Yeah. Let's. Desdemona. We've got, looks like a little bit of a trip ahead of us. Why don't you tell me about your family?
Would you like me to fade to black on that, or would you like to actually... Okay, as you all enter the boat, give me just a brief little tidbit. Not a tidbit, but like give me like sort of a tone of how you were talking about your family.
I guess just what might have been maybe printed in the newspapers, I guess. That kind of like basic stuff.
Gotcha. The highlights, brushing the ugly stuff under the rug. Understood.
And the more she talks about her family, Avery kind of starts like kind of being more like introverted and like starts curling up a little, almost in a fetal position on the boat. He's going through things on the inside as a result of his encounter.
Oh. But time passes, you sail seamlessly through a misty sea. Now the moon hangs over the sky, and eventually you reach a tiny island with a stone structure on top that seems very, very humble. You pull up to that dock. You are greeted by a figure, a large, imposing figure. Head covered in a cloak with a massive stone hammer at his feet. And as Emma walks out, the stone figure pulls back his hood and goes, "Infiltrator! Oh, come here, little one." And Emma runs up and gives him a big old bear hug. And he, after he's done with his hugs, you can see this man, he's absolutely bald on top, except he's got a nice, ugly scar that goes all the way down, big, fluffy beard with braids woven in between, with this sort of plated, interspersed with leather wooden armor. Not wooden, but leather interspersed with plate armor. As he looks to you and says, "Oh, infiltrator, you have brought friends. Hello. You may call me General. Come in, it is cold." As he...
So, pleasure to meet you.
You
Nice
have
to meet
no
you.
idea.
I'm Jeremiah.
General looks to you, Jeremiah, and he goes, "Oh, you have communed with the Stone Father, no?"
I met some guy named Solel. Almost stabbed myself in the chest.
That's not who he means.
If he has not revealed himself to you yet, he will in time. That is okay. Come on. And he leads you down.
Have you seen a little girl? Blonde, about 9 years old.
I am afraid not. We do not get many visitors on this lonely island.
Shit. Alright. Thank you.
We'll find her, man.
And he leads you down this open stone catacomb as these ancient stone stairs sort of lead down. It's bricked all around in a nice open door shape as it leads further and further down to this sort of dark, damp cellar. And then it opens up, and you see a few people gathered around a table. You see a woman sort of clutching a large jar with a mask on her face, as she's sort of propped up on the table with one of her knees raised high and tucked under herself, as she's sort of poring over different figures and little battlements on this large map. And you see, sort of hunched over the table, is a tall man with sort of chin-length, straight brown hair. And that man turns around and he goes, "Infiltrator! Oh, you've come. I was so worried about you." And Emma runs up and she goes, "Strategist, I was successful." And he says, "Oh, then you were able to get the star?" She says, "Yes, It is in the care of this man. He points to you, or she points to you. And the man looks to you, and he goes, brother?
Is it?
And that is where we'll end our session.
Oh my god!